What's good? Welcome. Fight on, everybody. Welcome to 4th and 9 to victory. We're going to get right in it. We're going to get through our downs, talk about a couple of things. We'll hit that number in the chat so everybody can call in, especially on our topic today, main topic, which is going to be the last down. This is USC future playoff aspirations. Is USC 1 year, 2 year off of making the playoffs, or if whatever you guys think, or if we miles away, or will it be next year? So we will definitely get there. We do appreciate everyone as always joining, subscribing, commenting. Keep them comments going. We definitely gonna put that link in for you to call in. Leon, shout out to Leon, man. Yeah, Leon rode that bicycle, man. Leon rode that bicycle for 100 miles and then something else today, 64 miles. I said 100 miles. I don't even want to drive 100 miles. I don't even want to drive 100 miles, man. So shout out to him. I'm surprised he's awake. I'll be asleep. Riding a bicycle for 100 miles, man. That's a good little drive. You know what I'm saying? That's about 2 hours of driving, too, let alone on a bicycle doing it.
More than 2 hours of driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So shout out to Leah. You gotta stay healthy. Ain't getting it. We definitely feel you, man. We definitely feel you. So let's go ahead and get right into it, man. Man, our first down. I'm sure every USC fan know. Well, it was the only game on last night, so across the country has to know. Oregon went down in the playoffs again in a most disastrous fashion, getting beat down. What's up, Gil? Fight on. What's up, J-Rod? Fight on. We got to help, guys. We got to help J-Rod and his son get season tickets next year, especially for the home games for Oregon and Ohio State, because we don't lose when they go to the games, man. So we didn't get them to every game.
Oh, well, they definitely need to be at every game.
Yeah, J-Rod. We got to help get them tickets to every game and travel or something, man. So we can be in the playoffs next year. But how excited was you to see Indiana beat down Oregon last night in that game? I know I was excited, but I'm gonna let you go. How excited was you?
I definitely was excited when you talk about the entitlement of an Oregon program that want to falsely claim they're the kings of the West Coast football. How dominant they've been, but haven't won anything. And I hate the fact that hold on. I hate the fact that we haven't been able to challenge them, especially within the last 7-8 years. I think the last time we beat them was 2014 or something like that. But it's just an entitlement of them to stick their chests out about how dominant they are in recruiting, how dominant they are, in the portal, and then to go on national TV like this. So I think this is going to settle some of the pundits when it comes to Oregon, some of the recruits that when it comes to Oregon that, they're really not that good. Now, I have a different take about Indiana itself, and you and I talked off air about it, before we came on live about, success of Indiana. We're going to get into that, but to keep those Oregon Ducks at 0 national championships, hey, look, I couldn't ask for a better game. I mean, Indiana took belt to behind yesterday, right? We talk about being dominated, but I got a different take on it. Oregon had a lot of turnovers, and Indiana capitalized off of those turnovers. Every time Oregon gave the ball to them, they scored. So, a lot of those touchdowns were as a result of Oregon's self-inflicted wounds. So, we definitely gonna get into it a little bit more in the show, but I'm happy that 0 continues to remain for 0 national championship for the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, man. So on the scale of 1 to 10, how happy I was to see that BTA last night. It's 100. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's 100. Huh?
I said shout out to Carter. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was definitely I'm sending you something.
Okay.
Yeah, man, I was definitely excited, right? What's up, J-Dub? Yeah, Oregon has had our number, right? Ever since the sanctions. But my problem is I mean, we can't deny the fact that Oregon has had our numbers since the sanctions, right? They've
Mm-hmm.
had more success. They've had more success with us, right? As far as making playoffs, making the national championship game with Mariota and all that. My thing is, acknowledge your success came off the back of our sanction.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's
Yeah.
not act like we didn't gift you guys. And the NCAA didn't gift you where you at, right? For you to be
Right.
able to get these top classes and all that, due to our sanctions. That's my whole thing. Acknowledge that. But I was so excited to see it. I enjoyed every last moment of it, man. Yeah, you know, in our Discord I put in last night, as the game was in the third quarter, I was like, man, I feel like Apollo coach, you know, from Rocky. Throw in the towel. And then I remember the Oregon. I was like, nope, score again.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I definitely enjoyed it. What I enjoyed even most is that it's 2 years in a row they've been embarrassed on the national stage.
Right.
They was embarrassed last year in the playoffs by Ohio State. Ohio State beat them 41-21, but that game wasn't even that close. Like, the game was out of hand way in the second quarter. They got some junk touchdowns, but they were embarrassed. And last night they were embarrassed again. So I definitely love it. I immediately went to Twitter and IG and all those other things. I just want to see what the Oregon fans say. And it's crazy. It's funny, right?
What
Now
can they
they're
say
saying
after that? I mean, what can you say after a beat down like that? You can't say much of
I'm like,
anything.
now, you know, they're split. Some I seen some saying, we were a young team, we'll be back. We getting closer every year. Last year we lost the game before, now we got to the game. But the majority of the consensus of the Oregon fans is saying Dan Lanning is nothing but a glorified James Franklin. They want him out of here. Hey, they've been saying where we've been saying that he's not that great of a coach as everyone trying to make him out to be. That he's I mean, when you have that much talent and recruiting classes stacked over and over again, Carter, we're gonna drop the link once we finish our down series. Once he stacked those classes over and over again, like he inherited a program with, especially in the right time of the NIL era with their financial back and everything they got, and you know the amount of talent is, you know what I'm saying. So that's what the majority of their fan base is saying. So I was just interested to see that. I knew it was coming. You know what I mean? So that tickled me. That's what they're saying. A lot of people are, oh, we like Landon. A lot of their fans are saying we like Landon as a guy, but he's not the coach. You know what I'm saying? He's not the guy and this and that. So I could definitely guarantee you next year, which would be what, like his fourth year. Wait a minute, because he was there with Bo Nix for 2 years.
Yeah.
No, next year will be his fifth year.
Yeah.
Oh, they probably gonna be worse than the USC fans calling for Riley. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
yeah. So we'll see. But to answer the question,
isn't that funny though, Chris? Man, they've been actually making the playoffs, and they still calling for Dan Lanning's job.
Well, here's the thing. With fans see one thing, man. Most of them who not in depth in football, they just want a national championship, right? And then what Signetti is doing at Indiana, he's an anomaly. Like I said, there's 130 some coaches in the country, right? You have you have what? Almost something like 30 coaches got fired this year. That lets you know he's one in a million. There's not a lot of Signettis walking around, and most fans are looking at it like he's able to do it there, and he's able to bring Indiana from the grave of college football, you know, to a powerhouse. Why is it not being done here? But not realizing that, you know, he's a great coach and he's one in a million. And, you know, if that wasn't the case, it wouldn't have been 30 people got fired this year. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I got my own take on that. Shout out to Raul and like the torch. I got my own take on that. You know my take on that, but we'll get into it.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Second down. What has the 2026 playoffs shown you regarding roster construction? And so what, from watching the playoff teams, seeing the playoff teams, how they're built, what have you learned from this year's playoffs?
Well, what I've learned is that, you know, if you're going to attack, you know, recruiting, if recruiting is going to be your primary objective, when you talk about winning the recruiting battle, then the fans are going to have to be patient when it comes to getting to the playoffs, when it comes to potentially winning the national championship. You just spoke about it in the last segment about how successful Cignetti has been, and he's done a good job. I'm not going to take anything from Cignetti, but we saw a glimpse of that in 2022. Remember when Riley took over this team? When he first got to USC, the roster was in shambles. We didn't hardly have any talent. But what did he have to do? He had to attack that portal and get a bunch of experienced players. I think we took in a total productive. Yeah. I think we took in a total of 45, close to 50 players that year, 2022. And ironically, that was his most successful season. Shout out to Byron. Thanks for joining. That was his most successful season. Now, what Cignetti have done is pretty much the same thing. He's gone into the portal. He's brought in a bunch of productive players, but they're fourth year juniors, fifth year seniors. Sometimes, granted, they're 6 and 7 seasons. So what you got is you got a bunch of grown men out there, virtually 24, 25-year-old men playing against 18, 19-year-old kids, 21-year-old kids. So it's not hard to have success when all of your players, with the exception of a few, of that much more experience and that much more stronger than these freshmen that you're bringing in. So that's the catch-22 to it, Chris. If we're going to, lock down Cali, if we're going to bring in some of the top talent, from across the country, when we talk about from a recruiting standpoint and from a recruiting perspective, when we want to keep all of the Cali talent home, this is the downside of it. This is the opposite side of it. It's going to take these kids 2-3 years to develop. So are we going to be patient with, this program, this coaching staff? Since especially, when you bring in that large crop of players that they brought in for 2026, we talk about 35 freshmen. You might have a few, 1 or 2 Thanos in there. You might have 1 or 2 Floyd Bucars in there. You might have 1 or 2 Tanu Hines in there. But that's only about 3 or 4 players. We talk about going up against an entire roster, or at least against 22 on 11 on offense, 11 on defense, and we're having to compete against that. A bunch of freshmen, a bunch of top-ranked freshmen from a recruiting class not going to get that done. Not even a bunch of sophomores are not going to be able to get that done. You have to go hit that portal hard. So we as fans going to have to decide whether or not we want to lock down California, put the fence up, put the gate around them, keep that talent home and develop them, or whether or not we're going to hit the portal and bring in a bunch of experienced players. And that's my perspective of it.
Right. So for me, what the 2026 playoff showed me as far as roster construction is a few things. The first thing is culture, right? Mm-hmm. No matter if we haven't been hitting the portal hard and we don't, have the 6-year people who've been in college football in 5 and 4 years, all that. To me, it's about culture. The difference between what Riley did in 2022 and what Cignetti did is Cignetti brought the culture to Indiana with him from James Madison, right? Mm-hmm. Three of the players last night from James Madison scored touchdowns that was on that roster, right? And so what he did is he brought in 30-some players from James Madison with him that already knew the system, that already had that culture. So now it's easier to build that culture at Indiana. He did a great job of it. Cignetti is a great coach in the way it's more than just X's and O's. What makes you a great coach? It's about how you go about doing things. And it's not just with Indiana. If you look at these playoff teams, they all have an identity. They all have a culture. Miami culture is it's physicality, right? They're going to line up. They want to run the ball. They're going to run the ball down your throat, and they're going to play defense, and they're going to beat you up front with that defensive line. That's a culture. That's a physicality. You look at all those the teams that was in the playoffs, they have an identity and they have a culture. One thing I've been on record saying is that no matter what roster Riley inherited, no matter what NIL was bad and all that, I agree with all that. But by this time, our culture should have been fixed. We still have a culture problem as far as discipline play, physicality. That's the issue. And what these playoffs are showing me is that you got to fix the culture if you want to compete on the highest level, right? Because culture is what transfers year to year. Players go in and out, but the culture is what stays, right? I hate to keep going back to it. I know how you feel about him, but I think he's a good coach. And you listen to it. He even said it against Alabama after they beat Alabama on the field. They asked him how was he so successful. He said, we like older players, players that we look for players that have experienced production. I'm taking production over potential, right? He also said we look for players who don't want to, who focus is not making the NFL, but it's to win, right? That's a culture, right?
I'm not saying that he's not a good coach. Don't. No,
I'm not saying.
I'm just what I'm saying. I'm not saying that he's not a good coach. But
yeah, I'm just saying what the playoffs have shown me. And the first thing is culture. The second is we all know, right? In football, it's simple. Defense wins championships.
Yeah.
How are you going to, if you look at these teams that were in the playoffs, those 12 teams in the playoffs outside of the at-large, James Madison and Tulane, the rest of those teams were in the top 10 of defense, right? Because there's times your offense is going to struggle. Your defense have to be stepped up. So how is your roster built around defense and more importantly, up front, right? Because if you can't run the ball or stop the run, you're not going to be, successful in football. Right. The last thing it showed me is you can have all the young talent and things like that you want and all the stars, but experience is going to win out, right? That's what the last 3 or 4 years. That's why Ohio State paid all that money to keep their juniors to come back, to running back. Michigan did the same thing, right? The year before, keep your best talent, your experienced players to come back to running back. That's why I was hoping we can. I knew it was you told me from get-go, give up on it. But I said, you can't tell me about my prayer. You can't. I was praying we can get Lemon and Lane.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that, Chris, when you talk about retaining your experience, or you talk about productive experience, right? And I was listening to one platform where they was talking about how much it costs to bring back a lot of these players to keep them so they can make that run at the national championship. When you talk about the Michigan. Yeah, it costs a lot, right? So investing in that type of money, 25, 30 million, just in player retention every season, eventually, all of that talent is going to walk out the door at the end of the year because they're coming back. They're already coming back as juniors, already coming back as, redshirt juniors.
You're not paying for the future when you do that. You're not paying for the future. When you do that, you're paying to win now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In contrast, that's what Chad Bowden and Raleigh is doing in contrast by locking down Southern California and bringing in the top rated recruiting class. They're building for the future.
We're gonna get into that to the next.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they're building for the future.
Let me. So it's showing me culture, right? Experience, defense, and also coaching, and also coaching is a big thing, man. How can you motivate your players, right? How can you get them up? The X's and O's and schemes. Last night, everyone was probably looking at the beat down, but I'm an X's and O's guy. This is second year in a row that I've seen Dan Lanning get in a situation that he was just out coached, right? You played this team before, and you came in with the similar game plan you had in the first game. While it seemed like Indiana and Cignetti, they came in with a counter for your counter. This is what we did the last time. This is what they're going to try to do. They threw a couple back shoulders, but it wasn't as much as they did the first game. They started running them in-cut route. They were setting them up on them back shoulders and bow. That's coaching, right? That's scheming. That's we got a counter for your counter. This is what we killed you with the first game. We know that's what you're going to come out and try to fix. This is what we're going to do. Not only that, is that defensively, right? The first game, Indiana sent a lot more pressure, rushed more people. You see this to start off last night for the majority. Indiana wasn't even blitzing. Indiana was like, okay, we gonna go with a four man, and we're gonna drop back, right, and keep all the eyes in front of us because we know Dante Moore want to get the ball out of his hand quick. A lot of the zone read stuff, and the first play of the game, what did he do? It was a fake to the running back. He reading it. Eyed that receiver down the whole time. They was dropped back in zone. They wasn't coming as expected, and pick six. So for me, it's what's been eye
Well,
popping.
let me ask you a question, Chris. How much of that loss was on Oregon when we talk about from a self-inflicted, from a self-inflicted standpoint? Because they had four turnovers that led to four scores.
Yeah, but outside of one, it ain't outside of one. Indiana forced them to them turnovers. They didn't say
Mhm.
here Indiana take the ball.
Well, one of them
Indiana took the ball.
One of them, what's his name?
I
Dante
said
Moore
outside
dropped
of
back.
one.
Yeah,
I
dropped
said
back in.
outside
Yeah,
of one. I said
yeah.
outside of
But
one.
what was more important was this: all of those turnovers happened in plus territory for Indiana.
Okay, but it's
So they
not
didn't
that
have to go
Oregon.
down they had to go far down the field, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it's not that Oregon. It's not that Oregon beat themselves. Indiana forced them into them turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like Oregon say, here, Indiana, you can have the ball. Right. But all right. So as we know, I mean, it's clearly been stated since Bowden got here. We see the proof is in the pudding, right? With the 26 class that we took, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think majoring in high school recruiting and minoring in the portal can be effective in today's college football with the NIL/portal era?
No, no. You have to major in the portal and minor in recruiting, which is the opposite of what
You mean in
Uh,
high school because the
yeah,
portal
yeah.
recruiting?
High school, which is the opposite of what a lot of the fans have been calling for when we talk about keeping the California, especially in particular the Southern California at that in California going to USC. Again, you're gonna have to develop these players. Culture has a big part of it. I agree with you 100%. You got to have a tough minded culture, and the culture is gonna the team is gonna reflect the culture and the coach. But if we're talking about instant impact, instant gratification, instant success, it's been proven, through the Indianas, through the Oregons, and Oregon has been to the playoffs, but they attack the portal pretty aggressively, right? That you just can't major in high school recruiting. Why? Because you're going to wait on these young kids to develop. You're going to have to wait on them to grow into their grown man bodies. You're going to have to wait on them to hit the weight program for 2-3 seasons in a row. So that's why, that was primary reason why we went with titling the live is USC 2 seasons away from making their player appearance, because you think about the class that they brought in for 2026, it's a monster class, but they're young, they're inexperienced, right? Again, you might hit a home run and bring in, like I said, a Thanos or Tanook Hines or even Floyd Boucard, but that's only 3 out of the entire class. So let's just say, for example, Booby Feaster might be the guy. That's only 1 out of 35. Or it might be, Jamion Winfield. That's only 2 that are exceptional players. We consider to be generational players that can come in and that can help shape the program, maybe even get you to, a potential conference title game. But when we talk about getting to a playoff, winning the game, you see the type of physicality that's on the field. All of those are more experienced players. They're older
Yeah.
players. So, I think, you can't monitor in the portal if you're going to be going up. If you're going to be going up against virtually grown men, you're going to have to either have a mix of the two, or you're going to have to major in the portal.
Yeah. So my take on it, the reason I don't think that majoring in high school recruiting and minoring in the portal will work in today's age. Again,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, if you have teams that's building their teams in the portal off players that's been in college football for 4, 5, and 6 years, right? Again,
Right.
that mean what? They've been in a college weight room program for 4, 5, 6 years, right? The older you get, the easier it is to put on muscle. You're gonna get stronger and
Right.
all that, right? It's not only that; it's that this is my biggest fear. I mean, because if the plan works, right, and it goes according to what we want it to do, and you get these 5 stars, you get 35, and you get another 15 or 20 and 27, then you stack another top class, right? You said 2,
Mm-hmm.
3 years, these guys, this team is going to be untouchable. My issue is that I don't know if it works in this era because we just seen a freshman quarterback leave because he wasn't playing. So how
Right.
many guys can you keep, right?
Right.
That's not playing in their first year. So trying to build for the future is a lot more difficult now because guys are going to hit the portal like all season. Somebody going to be in their ear. Well, you could come over here and start. We're going to pay you this much money,
Right.
right? So
100%.
so if we're looking and saying 2 or 3 years to build this roster and build this team, I mean, the roster that we got coming into 2026 by the bowl game is going to be completely different than what it was just before the season started, because guys are going to be going into the portal. They're going to be chasing a bag. They're going to be chasing opportunity to play now, right? I feel like I should be playing. I'm better than this guy or whatnot. And so majoring in high school, that's pre NIL, pre portal. That's what everybody wanted to do, right? You build your team. It's okay. In 2 or 3 years, this class is going to be this and that. It's a lot harder to do now because of people steady leaving, right, in the portal and the NIL issues. And so it's like, unless you can this is where in Carter, he'll talk about this when he come on. We was talking about it last night. Is player retention. Right. If you can't retain the players and you can't keep the players and keep the class for 2 or 3 years, I mean, to me, it was a waste of money and a waste of a class, if that makes sense. Right. Because we'll never see the plan coming to fruition. Now, I will say this: Jamion Winfield, Luke Waffle, they look like they 24 already. Luke Waffle. Hey, shout out to Jamion Winfield. He had a great game today. Caden Dixon-Wyatt had a touchdown in the All-American game. And Trojan, the MVP, was Luke Waffle. I meant to bring that up at the beginning of the show. Luke Waffle had 3 sacks, 3 tackles for a loss, and a fumble recovery. He looked like a man amongst boys in that game. And that was an all-star game. So, but Winfield and Waffle, I expect to see the field next year as a true freshman and contribute, especially Waffle. That kid is built. He is stout. But to answer the question,
like I was saying, that's only 2 or 3 out of 35 though.
Right. And I think Booby will play, but again, we're talking about Booby 17 though. He's supposed to be a senior in this upcoming year. He's gonna be a freshman in college. So, but yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I don't know if it's going to. I don't know if this is going to work in this NIL era. I hope it does, but it's like I've been saying for the last since we got Bowden and all that, and he said this. I've been saying it. It's like everybody's talking about Riley has to win this year. We got to win this year, and I was like, I don't think that's the case. I said internally, I believe that they're looking at this thing for they got a plan for 2 and 3 years out.
Yeah, you have been saying that.
All right. We're gonna move on to 4th down. We're gonna give our answers, and then we'll open up the call log for you guys to come in and tell us what you think. But man, it's the main topic of the show. B, what do you think? Is USC 1 year away? Is USC 2 years away? You think they're 3 years away? And we're not even talking about. I mean, it's sad that we're not even talking about winning a national championship. We're talking about making the playoffs. Right. Like that's the hurting part.
Right. Me personally, if we're gonna, if this is the objective, the strategy that they're gonna adopt, right? We're gonna appease the fans, the fan base, and we're gonna keep all of the Cali talent home. We're gonna start with recruiting, start at the little league level and work our way all the way up to high school, and we're gonna cherry pick what's on the outside of California. Again, the fans are gonna have to be patient. Right now, coaches like Signetti, coaches like Ryan Day, Dan Lannon, we're talking about just getting to the playoffs. Even with Mario Cristobal, they're showing that, hey, look, you have to go out there and reach into that portal and get a bunch of experienced players, which means that not only you got to open up the productive, experienced, productive players. All right. Which means that you really not only you're gonna have to open up that checkbook for your incoming freshmen. You have to open up that checkbook to get these players out of the portal, and you spending, anywhere from $30 to $40 million per year. I don't think that that's sustainable. Just on the roster itself, I don't think that that's sustainable. So I think Bowden and USC has taken this approach. They're gonna do it their way. Which if I'm in charge of something, I'm gonna do it my way. I'm not gonna try to appease 75, 80,000 fans. But if the fan base wants them to keep the Southern California talent at the house and cherry pick everywhere else. They're gonna have to accept the fact that this is going to take.
Can't be aggressive in the portal,
right?
right?
You can't be aggressive in the portal. They're gonna have to accept the fact that this is going to take another 2 to 3 seasons before we even, like you said, before we even in the playoffs. We hadn't mentioned anything about championship, right? Of course, we're one of the few blue bloods that has yet to see the playoffs since it started. I think the closest thing we got was 2 years, 2017 with Hilton, and 2022. I think we won. I know we were one poor hamstring away from getting to the college football playoffs because we were handling Utah in that Pac-12 championship game. We were cruising, and then Caleb pulls up.
He couldn't run. He couldn't run no more. He couldn't
run no more. He couldn't. So he became ineffective. And whether or not they had put
we had a Grinch defense.
We had a Grinch defense. Couldn't stop anything, and whether or not they had put Moss in there to sub Caleb out, would they have helped? I don't know. He didn't have much experience at the time. Possibly not. I know he wasn't the quarterback for the offense, period. But we're talking about a quarterback on one leg as opposed to a healthy quarterback. So the fan base is going to have to be patient. If this is the way that we're going to go, if this is the direction that the program is going, keeping all the Southern California talent at the house, recruiting, hitting the high schools hard, hitting it, and cherry picking, everywhere else. When you talk about a Luke, what's his name, Luke Wafel, we talk about a Jamian Winfield. He's out of Texas. You talk about Chinook High, he's out of Texas, but the main portion of that recruiting class is from Southern California. Then you're gonna have to be patient.
So for me, I definitely don't. I would love to, but if we're being honest, I don't think we get there next year. I've been saying it that we're 2 years away, and this is why, right? We took 35 this year. We're not taking 35 for the 27 class, right. So with the most of the talent that we got last year, like with Thanos and Bukard and them guys, going along with Wayful in this class, Booby, not leaving anybody out. I'm not about to call the whole 35 out, but with this great
offensive lineman like Kenya Pepe.
Yeah. With this 26 class, right? Next year, 2017 class, we're probably going to take 15 to 16. Now that leaves more money to be aggressive in the portal to get those productive 4 and 5, 6 year guys that can come in and instantly fill gaps that you have on your roster and be, productive. So I've been saying it. I think we're on a 2 year plan. I don't think we get there next year. I would love to, but I still, as of now, we'll see the first game of the year. I don't think we have the roster to go in and compete and beat Ohio State, Oregon, or Indiana, especially with what Indiana is doing in the portal and the firepower that they're bringing in. Right, they're getting difference makers. I don't know if people know, and I don't even know if he graduated from Indiana, but Mark Cuban is a benefactor.
Yeah, he's an alumni.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mark Cuban, so Mark Cuban got their loan bread, and so that's what
he has billionaires though. They got like what 29 billionaires though, don't they?
I understand that. I'm just saying with what they have returning, right? What they picked up in the portal, right, and what they're doing in the portal. Right. I mean, I don't see us making the playoffs next year as of right now. When the season starts, we can see how we look. We can see how some of these freshmen from the 26 class, if they come in and be instant difference makers, see who our DC is. But I'm looking at this I don't see it to 2027. The reason why we took 35 in this 26 class, I'm not saying our portal was an F, but our portal was it wasn't no A+, right? That especially with the needs and concerns that we have. And so I think
will it be 2027 though? Because we'll have an inexperienced quarterback in 2027.
I think Jonas will be all right. My opinion is that we're definitely not 1 year away. I think we're 2 years away. Because
at least two, but you have to factor that in as well. You're going to need.
I gave you an opportunity to. You said 2 years. Now you're going against what you said. Right. Now you're going against what you said.
No, I'm not going against what I'm saying. 2 years will put. I said it's USC 2 years away from making the playoff run. Yeah, I mean, at least 2 years, I would say that. But we still, if we talk about 2 years from now, we're gonna have an inexperienced quarterback. Next year will be Jaden Miya's last season.
So what is your answer?
I'm saying at least minimum 2 seasons. Minimum. That's what I'm saying.
I'm answering the question. My opinion is that we're not making the playoffs this year. That 2027 would be the year. And I'm saying that because 35 people this year, we wasn't able to attack the portal like we needed to fill some gaps in that lane. But next year, we're probably only going to take 15 to 16 players, which means we'll have a lot more money in the offseason of 26 to attack the portal to get players that we need to come in there and plug holes immediately. And I think the 27 year will be the year. All right. Well, we're going to drop that link in there for anybody that wanted to call in. J-Rod, I'm finally out on Riley. Love him as a recruiter and OC, but he couldn't run the program. Definitely understand your opinion, J-Rod. J-Rod, throw in the chat realistically a coach right now that we can get that's better than Riley. I'm just throw some coach. Who's your top coach right now that's
available right now? That's available right now. Because I don't know if
even if they're not available, if you think there's a number out there we can throw to get them.
Of course, a lot of people are going to say Signetti. You know,
well, Signetti just got an extension and all that, and he's getting like 12. He's getting 12 million a year.
Leon, what's going on, my man?
I don't think it's realistic. Signetti's
Hey, what's going on?
Behind you, Leon. What you know?
Hey, man, y'all over there talking crazy, bro.
Hey, J-Rod said all the coaches got fired. Is
Well, what's your opinion, Leon?
Listen, I think we have a better shot making the playoffs this coming season than we do the following year. We're bringing back the entire offensive line, sans Noah, right? I mean, Alani Noah. The defense, I think, is going to be better. And Chris is talking about we didn't fill needs. We got a number one cornerback. We got a run-stuffing defensive tackle. And then Floyd, Thanos, Jamion Winfield's going to look good. And I think if you take care of the run game with the defensive tackles, the edges are going to look a lot better. We also got a veteran edge from Penn State. Our best shot at making the playoffs in the next 2 years is this coming season, not 2026, 2027.
Well, Leon, first off, I know you out there, you probably can't hear us good, but don't misquote me. I didn't say we didn't fill needs. I said we didn't feel. I said our portal. I wouldn't give it an F, but it definitely wasn't an A. We all know the needs that we had and what we did.
What need didn't we fill, Chris? What need didn't we fill?
For one, we needed another center, right? For two, we needed a big 300-pound interior guy. Three, we got that.
We got that with the dude Alex from Michigan State. We got that. We got a cornerback. We got that. We got a number one wide receiver. We got that.
Bro, okay, if you feel he's the answer, I don't feel that he was the answer. There's a lot more guys out there.
Because he's not a big time name.
No.
Because I thought we all got off of that whole thing about we didn't go after the number one defensive tackle. We did. We got Keyshawn Silver.
Wait. Two, we didn't bring us a center. Three. We needed more than one linebacker.
Who says I haven't?
Well,
what's up, Carter? So I didn't say we didn't feel a need. I said we didn't feel it to the need that I think that we needed to make this to fill out a gap that we need to make the playoffs. And so Leon is saying 2026 is the year we'll make the playoffs.
No, I said that's not what I said. I said 2026. If we're going to make the playoffs, we're going to make it in 2026. It's a higher probability because, like B said, Jaden Mayava, the entire starting line is coming back. We filled some holes on defense. If you think we're going to make a run in 2027 with a rookie quarterback and we don't know what the offensive line is going to look like, I don't know, bro.
So
we have a better shot next year than 27.
So the question in the topic live is USC 1 year or 2 years away from making the playoffs? So it's not like you're saying 1 year.
I'm saying next year is a better probability to make the playoffs based on what we have coming back.
All right, let's bring Carter. You and B won't answer the question.
Before we go to Carter real quick, I just want to shout out Leon real quick. Again, we talked about this earlier in the topic, and then we're gonna go to Carter. Excuse me, earlier in the live. He was ringing an alarm early when he talked about. Hey, turn your back down. Turn your background. Hold on, I'm about to mute him. He was talking about it early. He was talking about it early when you talk about how the experience and the amount of production that was on the teams like Michigan and Ohio State, and it even rings true this season to Indiana. But Leon was one of the first ones saying that, when a lot of people, I know, especially on this platform, was didn't realize exactly what he was saying. He was one of the first ones to say, "Hold on, these guys that we're playing against, the Michigans, the Ohio States, the Oregon, they got old players on their team. They got experienced players on the team." And Indiana's roster this year, I was looking at a platform where it says that the average age of an Indiana player is 23 years old. That's the average age of the players right now. And they did a comparison against a team like Green Bay, where the average age of their offensive line is 25. See, the 23-year-old B Jinx was a lot stronger than the 19-year-old B Jinx. That's just what it was. And I played basketball in school, but we talk about from experience and from a strength perspective, the 19-year-old B Jinx couldn't hang with the 23-year-old B Jinx at all. It wasn't even close. So I want the fans to consider, when we talk about keeping the Southern California toilet home and bringing in a lot of these top recruits, they're going against these 24, 25-year-old players. And when you get on the stage against a team like Indiana, it's a good chance you're going to get embarrassed. Carter, my man, welcome to the show, bro.
Fight on. Chris, B. Jinx, what's up with it?
Hey, shout your channel out real quick, fam.
Oh, yeah, go subscribe. Carter Sports TV. And I got Trojan Gang and Don't Bang.
Most definitely. So let's get your perspective on it real quick.
On what exactly? Y'all made 4 points. What's more?
Well, the topic of the live is USC at least
1 or 2 years away from making
two seasons away from making a college playoff run, not winning a chip, but from making a college playoff run. Is the USC program 2 seasons away?
I put it like this: I will bet on the 27 season, but I'm kind of with Leon. We got a chance next season too if we address our issues, right? Mm-hmm. Now, that's depending on if we feel like we address our issues. So if we get our defensive line right to where we can have a pass rush and be decent in the run, and the same thing on the offensive side. So that's the big question. Like, we could compete for the playoff next year if we get our trenches right. So we not done. The portal's still open. Like,
let me ask you a question this way, Carter. With what we brought in so far in the portal, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, the portal shuts off tomorrow, and we're done bringing in players through the portal. With what we brought in so far, and shout out to Halbreed, with what we brought in so far, would you say that we've made enough impact from a recruiting and from a portal standpoint to get into the playoffs next season?
Not at all.
That's exactly what I was saying about the portal.
The portal at all.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Nah, and look, we ain't, just like Chris said, we ain't got no center. I feel like we need a guard too. Alani Noah not coming back.
Yeah, there has been reports about Alani Noah not coming back. He definitely hasn't signed. There's also another key defensive piece that I don't know whether or not people are paying attention, but he hasn't signed. Alex Graham, and he is a tackling machine. So those are the players you definitely want to retain. Yeah,
Alex Graham's coming back. They're going to get his deal done. He was waiting to make sure Belk got taken care of, and Belk's coming back. So Alex Graham will sign.
Okay.
That's been reported.
That's been reported.
Who reported that?
Scott Schrader.
Okay. So Leon is saying that Alex Graham is coming back. He wanted to make sure that his position coach Doug Belk was going to be back. It looks like he's coming back. One thing we haven't seen yet, though, we haven't seen an announcement. And Chris and I talked about this off air, before we came on live. When do they plan on making the announcement as far as a DC is concerned, right? So what's working against USC is that there's a potential that if they don't go with the player friendly or the player favorite coach, it's a good chance that a lot of these players could hop into the portal. But if you wait until that portal closes, doesn't matter who the staff goes with or who Bowden goes with, the players can't hop into the portal because it'll be closed, right? So I want to get your perspective on that, Carter. When you talk about bringing back player retention like an Alex Graham, who we desperately need for next season, and the potential hire of this DC, how important is it when we talk about potential to get into the playoffs? How important is it to keep a player favorite coach as opposed to going out and getting somebody to actually work with these players and get them developed and put them in the right positions to be successful next season?
Or short term is to get the players what they want. But I think long-term success, you got to have the right coach in there. And like Kirk Cinetti proving that. Like if you tell me, B. Jinx, that we don't get what the players want, right? And we have a few decommitments because of that.
Okay.
But we get the right DC. I feel like 4 or 5 years from now, our program, we'll benefit from that. We will benefit from that off the back end.
Right.
Right now, if we get the players what they want, we're gonna benefit with keeping all the players we got now.
Keeping them happy. Right.
Yeah. So it's short term. Short term is for the players, then it's good. Long term, we going DC. So as a fan, I ain't gonna go what the players want, even though I love them so much, because guess what? Every year is gonna be great players. It just is. So anybody in this class or on the roster that might decommit from a coach, it's another player that's gonna come along and fill your spot. It may not be this year, but it's gonna be next year. It's great players every year. And we all know it's about developing players. So in college football, there's nobody that's irreplaceable. So when I factor all this in, I'm going with the coach. But I'm going to have to stomach more rebuilding seasons, right? Okay. So it's like pick your poison. Do you want to bank on the young players and hope that we win now and we keep it together and keep rolling? Or do you want to bank on something guaranteed like, if we get this DC, we know defense ain't gonna be a problem no more in the future. So it's a tough one. That's a great question. It's a great question.
All right, Leon, let's go to you real quick. Let me get your thoughts on it before your service drop. Go ahead.
What was the question again, DJ?
Which one do you sacrifice if you talk about potentially getting into the playoffs or keeping the players happy? You want to keep the players happy and hire the favorite DC, or you want to look at development and hire the DC that the players need?
I'm gonna if we're just not talking about any names, I'm gonna say you're gonna have to go with the long-term play, and that's hiring the right DC. You know, players are gonna come and go, and as we've seen with Longstreet, there's no guarantee if you bring a guy in, he's going to stay for multiple years. So you got to think of team first, and team first means bringing in the right DC from the beginning.
Okay, Chris, what do you think about that, Chris?
Man, we talked about this to nausea last weekend. I told you, you hire the best defensive coordinator that's out there that you can. Whoever you feel is the best defensive coordinator, that's for the best man for the job. That's who you bring in. That's who you hire.
All right, I want to give a shout out to everybody that has joined the show. We want to thank, of course, our co-hosts Leon and Carter for coming up. But everybody that's been here for the first time, we appreciate you guys showing up. Everybody that's part of our regular 4th and 9 the victory, we would like to thank you guys for showing up. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We've seen a couple of new faces in here. Shout out to you for joining the show. But we talk about keeping player retention, and that's one of the key elements to getting to where you want to be, the playoffs and potentially a championship. You got to keep a player like an Alex Graham, who's proven to be one of those top tier freshmen. When he's healthy, he's productive. So when we talk about the amount of money that's spent on these rosters, can we afford to make? And we just touched on this. And some other people are welcome to join the live. Come up and give you a perspective. I just dropped the link again. can you afford to continue to shell out $30-40 million a season in order to keep these players? That's going to be what's most important here. A lot of programs, eventually, this can
Well,
go
a
to
lot in
this
debt. A lot of them in the debt in the black right now.
and debt right now, or in the red right now. A lot of programs are in the red right now. So of course, again, you want to lock down Southern Cali, and I know Carter, and I think Chris, you're from Southern California, right?
Yeah, I'm from San Diego.
All right. We talk about keeping the players home. It's going to take a minute to develop them. So, Carter, does your perspective change now with regards to keeping home the Southern Cali talent? Are you one of those people or one of those fans that say, hey, look, we got to, Raleigh has to prove something right now, which means that we need to be winning it right now? Has your outlook changed on that, Carter, as far as keeping that talent home?
Why would I ever change on keeping the talent home? Like, you start in your local area, unless you like
Okay.
Oregon and you ain't got no talent around there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
we in a fertile recruiting ground. We all know it's Cali, Texas, Georgia, Florida, Ohio will be up there too. Them the states. So why wouldn't we start in our own backyard? And the Southern California kids is more likely to stick
You
around
say
if it ain't perfect. They
Right.
more likely to put their blood and sweat on the field because they represent for the home team. So the home players gonna give you that pride, that culture, that fight, that spirit, right?
Right.
They ain't gonna be on the sidelines laughing if we losing because they cool. They got their NIL. The local players gonna really care if we win or not. Not saying the out of state players ain't, but the local players they got that extra umph when they throwing
Mhm.
on that USC helmet. You feel what
Uh,
I'm saying?
and I'm glad that was your response. I think Leon just dropped off. Maybe he had some service
yeah, he said
problems.
he had to. No, he said
So,
he had to go.
all right, and I'm glad that was your response. But you talk about a kid like Lone Street that's out of Southern California, Centennial, right? And from
Man,
what
I
I
can't hear you.
understand, can you hear me now, Chris? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
It's
Carter, can you
probably
hear
me.
me?
My stream yard been doing it. I'm gonna go out and come back in.
All
I'm
right,
gonna
go
go
out
out
and
and
come
come
back
back in.
in. Go out and come back in. All right, but shout out to Half Brief for joining the live, man. Appreciate it. Shout out to Fight On, Natty. We want to hear from some people who don't typically come in.
Yeah,
Go
J
ahead and go
Rod,
ahead and hit the link.
Half
Go ahead
Breed,
and hit that
J
link.
Rod,
Half
Half
break.
Breed, J Dub,
Yeah.
call in, J Dub, J
Somebody
Dub,
else hit
you
that
know.
link. I'm gonna drop it again. But we talked about Carter just touched on that, and maybe he can give more perspective when he comes back in. But I brought up the question about Lone Street. Southern California kid got the opportunity to learn up on Lincoln Riley. Got the opportunity to learn up on a Lincoln Riley, Southern California kid, 5-star recruit. I got some feedback on you, Carter. Hold on. 5-star recruit, but chose to, go for an opportunity somewhere else. I'm sure that, or from what I understand, the NIL package wasn't the issue. The kid just wanted to play. And if I'm a quarterback at this level, who better to learn from than a Lincoln Riley? But he chose to go the other route and look for greener pastures when you talk about from a playing perspective. And Carter, I want to get your perspective on that as well. You just spoke on the Cali kids being more likely to stay home, but you got Lone Street that hit the portal. How much of that changes for a local kid that wants to play as opposed to just representing the home front? How much of that changes though?
I mean, we all know once money got involved, a lot of stuff was gonna change. You feel
Mm-hmm.
me? And the
Right.
fact that you ain't got to sit a year. I think
Okay.
a lot of it is they took away you got to sit a year. I don't even really think it's the NIL. I think it's you ain't got to sit.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I would never look. People could do certain things. There's always gonna be the Anthony Thomases. There's always gonna be the local kid that leave or never
Mhm.
come.
Right. You're not
Right.
But
gonna
you
keep all
can't.
of them.
Yeah, you can't keep all of them, but you can't change your philosophy. See, this
Okay.
is the
So,
thing
Carter,
that,
what you
that
mean by you never have to sit for a first year? Like if you're a true freshman, you can come in and play. You've always been able to play.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. You always been able to play if you could play. So this is the thing with me, and I think y'all really hitting on the Tell me if I'm wrong, B Jinx, but you really hitting on majoring or minoring in the high school recruiting in the portal.
Right.
I heard
That's
y'all
right.
talking about that.
That's
Right?
correct.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm always gonna still major in the high school because that's where it starts, right? I believe the portal, how hard you go in the portal, your roster gonna tell you that after each and every season. So when the season ends and we looking at the roster and we looking at what we need to be a better team, a playoff team, that's going to decide how hard we go in the portal. So we might look at our team. I say, okay, so this team this year, I'll say for us to be competitive, I think we would have needed like 10 or 11 of the right players in the transfer portal at the right position. I don't
Okay.
believe in saying like we ain't gonna really recruit high school. We just gonna pluck dudes out the portal because the portal ain't gonna have guaranteed talent every year like high school is. Like this year, it haven't been no elite D tackles in the portal like a Elijah Harmon, a Derek Harmon or a Walter Nolan. You feel me? But every
Right.
year out of high school is gonna be them great prospects. So you never minor in high school recruiting. You supplement that with the transfer portal. So like our class, we got 35 dudes. So say to B Jinx and Chris Y'all point, half that class or 15 of them dudes leave next year because they ain't playing, then that's when we go hard in the portal and supplement them out. All right, you want to leave? So just like Devin Tompkins left, okay,
Right.
we gonna replace you with Van Summerin.
Okay.
That's how we treat the portal. The portal ain't where you start, is where you end and finalize your roster. So I
So
would
this is
never minor in the high school recruiting because if you're
right.
a great program, you're gonna develop them players, and you're a great program, so your NIL good, so you're gonna be able to keep most of them. Quarterback always gonna be tricky. In the quarterback position, it's the deepest position in the transfer portal. Ain't it like 180 quarterbacks? So the quarterbacks, they gonna be wish-washy. That's
Right.
why I think Lincoln Riley should recruit 2 quarterbacks per class. He only recruit 1. Know what I'm
So
saying?
here's my take. The first thing is I'm not too worried about the California kids that transfer. I mean, I know who son did, but again, you're talking about one position. That's a quarterback position. Only one quarterback can play. I mean, 2 can play, but come on, let's be real. Only one of them gonna start, right? The rest of those kids play positions where they can see the field in their first year and get some playing time. We've seen a lot of freshmen do it this year, right? All the other positions is people sub out, sub in. The quarterback, the one position where it's one guy, right? So to me, losing Longstreet is not a indictment to say don't recruit California,
Right,
because
right.
California kids can still leave. The, the second thing is, I think there's a misconception with the major in the high school and minor in the portal. So, the big thing about that is that we took 35, which is a big number. That's a heavy major. So when you take 35 kids out of high school, you don't have the money to go get 10 or 11 guys in the portal or to get those high price difference makers that, that's coming to campus that we all wanted, right? There were certain receivers we wanted. There were linebackers we were wanting. And we were knowing from the start that USC said, we're not going to be that aggressive in the portal. It's because they signed 35 kids in the 26 class, and that's a lot of money NIL spent, right? There's not an infinite amount of NIL. So when we're talking about, when I'm talking about major, should we major in high school and major in portal? I'm saying I don't think each class should be 35. And I don't think it is. That's why you heard me say I think we're 2 years out of the playoffs. And the reason why is because we took 35 this year. Next year, we're probably only going to take 15 kids out of high school, right? And now we have that portal money for another 15, 16 scholarships, you know what I'm saying, to go and get those high price, get those guys that we need that can come in and fill the need right away. You see what I'm saying? That's what I mean by majoring in high school and portal. I don't think we need 35 people every year coming out of high school. That's not sustainable, and it's not going to work because, like we said, kids are leaving after 1 year at all positions because they might love the program and all that, but soon as game 1 happened, they might not be seeing the field. They aging is steady working in the background. Hey, if he come here, how much you'll pay? If he'll come here, how much you? I mean, that's what it's all about. Their camps and their camps in their ear. And so if we continue to do 35 out of high school, and we're banking on 2 years, 2 and 3 years, these guys would be 3 years in the program with our weight program, in our system and all this. I mean, the reality is that most of those guys are not going to be there.
Right.
Hey,
I'm glad
Chris.
you brought that on. Hold on real quick, Carter. When we talk about the agents are constantly working, you have to remember that that's also something that's recruiting against the coaching staff. And I'm glad that the front office was able to bring in a GM and a staff so Riley wouldn't have to deal with it. Remember the first 2-3 seasons, he had to deal with everything, recruiting, had to deal with retention. We had another guy that was on staff. He wasn't too effective. So now all of that is off his hands. But I'm glad you brought up the agent part of it. There was an issue with one of the quarterbacks at University of Washington, Demond Williams. And from what I understand, he had already signed, inked a deal with University of Washington to come back for $4.5 million. Well, all of a sudden, he hit the portal and didn't notify the coaching staff. So there's a big thing about him.
Or his agent.
Or his agent. Yeah, or his agent. So somebody had to be in this kid's ear for him to automatically hit it. And if you hit it, you got to know that, hey, look, I'm going to something that's better. You're not going to leave a $4 million deal unless there's a potential $6 million deal on the table, or if not higher, right?
So he put his name in there as a do not contact.
Right.
Lane Kiffin, once they figured out that the Ole Miss quarterback, even if he was get another year, he said he was staying at Ole Miss, and then he didn't even get the year. But as soon as that happened, Lane Kiffin was assuming he was coming to LSU. That didn't happen. Lane Kiffin offered Williams $1 million more, and that's why he put his name. That's why he put his name in the portal with a do not contact.
But he eventually went back, though, right? He eventually
because Washington was about to sue him. Because Washington was suing them. I
so
would too. They wanted their signing bonus money.
So you have to remember that part of college football. You know, when there used to be a bag man coming in this game. Yeah, when you think about it, there used to be a bag man coming in through the back door. Well, now the bag man just coming through the front door, and it's the agents that's involved. How much of that is going to impact the roster, Carter, when you talk about player retention, when you got these players who has access to social media? It wasn't like that before social media was around, but how much of that could impact a player like a Longstreet, though?
Well, hold on before you answer that, Carter, because this guy agent wasn't even involved. His agent dropped him because he didn't even know. So you got to say agent. You got to say agent and count. Because a lot of the times these people are actually going to these kids' parents too. There's an Ohio State guy. He wasn't 18 yet, so he couldn't read no sign. His parents signed him to go to Tennessee, and he didn't want to go to Tennessee. He wanted to go to Ohio State. So when he turned Legend Bay, have you read that story?
No, I haven't seen that story. The only story.
Right, so he's a high recruit, and He wanted to go to OSU. That's who he gave his verbal commitment to, but he couldn't sign because he wasn't 18. His parents backdoored him and brokered a deal with Tennessee and signed him with Tennessee. And so, but then he turned 18 a couple of days. This was like last month. He turned 18, so then he decommitted from Tennessee because he was like, I'm not going there. And he signed with Ohio State. So it's not just the agents. It's the parents, their account, anybody around them. Because Demond Williams' agent dropped him because he didn't even know nothing about it.
Right. So how much is that impacts, the roster itself? When you talk about retention, everybody talks about retention, but now social media, all it takes is somebody, sliding into your DMs or sliding into a family member DM and telling them about a deal, which I think was happening with Demond Williams. But, when he thought about the legalities of it, potentially being sued, decided to stay with Washington, which is going to cause some tension in the locker room anyway, because they know why you came back. How much of that is going to impact your roster, Carter?
I mean, we see it right now. It's impacting everybody. Like, it's going to force you to be able to be active in the portal and replace. It's going to be force you to be adjusted. It's going to be force you to have a backup plan, right? So that's why I said, I understand going hard in the high school recruit because
Roger Longstreet is already gone, brother. He's already in the portal.
Yeah. So Chris and B Jinx, so y'all feel like we took too many high school kids this year?
Well,
I'll let you.
You want to go first? You want to go first, Chris? Go ahead. All
right.
Go ahead.
I don't for this year. What I'm saying is 35 for this class was good because we're trying to get the foundation block. I don't think we can do 35 every year. I think this is the year you do 35. Chad Bowden come in and we do 35 because we're trying to actually stack the talent with top level talent and get some depth. But next year we can't do 35. Next year we gotta go 20 or below and save that money for the portal to supplement the needs after the season. Because if we continue to go 35 and spend all the money in high school recruiting, like I said, and we're banking on these classes stacking and being together for 2 and 3 years, that's not realistic in today's portal and NIL. So I don't have a problem with us doing 35 this year to get us a jump head start of top talent, which we definitely need, especially along the offensive line and defensive line, and getting it going. But next year, I don't think we can do 35 again. That we're gonna have to cut that in half and save some funds so we can get those top players in the portal. You see what I mean? That has experienced production that could fill those holes and voids that we need. Because you can't do both. You can't bring in a class of 35 and then get mad and say we wasn't aggressive enough or spend enough money in the portal. Why we didn't get this player, right? I know in our Discord when we were talking about Cam Coleman when he first went, it was like, oh man, he's not coming USC. He won $4 million. You know, I'm like, we don't have $4 million to get him. You know what I'm saying? And Guns just said it. We won't be doing 35 next year. 27 will be 15, and that's perfect. I don't have a problem with what we did this year. Now next year we're doing that, and now we'll have.
You know the problem I have with that though? By putting a limit on how many kids, and not to cut you off, and I know B Jinx, you're supposed to answer the question next, so my bad. But I didn't want to forget this. How can you limit and say we only taking 15? Say if you look up next year and you like 25 players and they all want to come, you going to tell a great player like, nah, like you're great, but we said we only taking 15. You could be the next Aaron Donald or Tom Brady, but we already got 15 dudes, so we can't take you. We can't. Well,
this is what
that.
No,
I'm not arguing. No, hold on. I don't want you to think.
No, I just want to ask you this. I just want to ask you this. Right? Is there a way to keep taking 35 kids each year in high school?
Not 35.
Okay.
I ain't gonna lie. Look, I'm gonna tell you.
Wait, hold on. Let me finish asking this question. Because you think that you can do both. I don't think we had an in-out like that where we can, because the kids we're bringing in are great players and they costing a bad. So we continue to take those big classes. Then as fans, we can't complain when we have the portal classes that we have. When there's a Coleman that come and want $4 million, and we already know, man, we're not getting Coleman. We ain't got $4 million to give him. We just took 35 kids out of high school. Then as fans, we gotta be okay with living with that because you can't do both.
Yeah, and I hear you. This is what's the problem this year. We need both. Like we need that great recruiting class, and we need a great portal class. But look, I think this is what you and B Jinx not thinking. If our number one class this year, say if they turn out, some gonna probably decommit, right? But say if we keep the ballers, we keep the waffles, we keep, you know what I'm saying, the premier out this class.
Winfield,
we ain't gonna have to go hard in the portal. We ain't gonna need. See, this year we need 10 to 15 players. If this recruiting class turn out at the end of the season, we're gonna examine our roster and say, well, we only need like 6 or 7 players, because these players balled as freshmen. They projected to be better as sophomores, and then our sophomores like Thanos and Bucard, that class, they juniors. So we might look at the roster and be like, we only need like 5 or 6 guys out the portal. So we getting it twisted because we got 35, but we still need players in the portal. But this 35 ain't got on the field yet and play the whole season, and we could sit back and examine our roster. This 35 could be so lit, we could examine our roster after this season and be like, we don't need nobody. So we got to take this year at a time. In the whole year ahead, I don't think we can say, oh, we only gonna need 15 recruits and we only gonna need this in the portal. We got to see what this 26 class gonna do, y'all. The 26 class is gonna tell us what we need to do. And if it hit, we ain't gonna have to go hard in the portal. Like Ohio State, they don't need 10 or 15 players in the portal. The teams that stack, they don't need 10 or 15. You know why? Because they have recruiting classes like us for multiple years.
Well, so they about 10 years. They got a head start on the NIL.
They got a head start. But let me give my perspective real quick. NIL is always going to be an important aspect of it, right? But you got to remember, in 2026, they start the revenue sharing.
All right, shout out to Guns, man. Shout out to Guns, man.
Shout out to Guns who like to touch. But it's 2026 starts the revenue share, right? So there's going to take some of that weight off of the NIL when you talk about targeting, players out the portal. I'll say this, like I said before, if we're looking at, locking down the high school talent and grabbing some of the best talent, and actually building and developing, we have to be cool with not making the playoffs. We have to be cool with that. You got to think, everything is not going to match each season. Like after next season, we lose out on Miami. Now, will Jonas Williams be the guy to lead the ship? He may or he may not. You got to remember, he probably more than likely, depending on how many close games we have this season, which we're going to have a lot of close games this season, man. We're bringing in a new DC. We don't have all of the key pieces I feel that we need in order to get into the championship game, maybe right there on the cusp of it. But after this season, we're going to have a new quarterback leading the ship, and he's going to be young. So if you're looking for, developing the youth, it doesn't bode well unless you're able to aggressively attack that portal and get the older, more experienced, and more
keep the youth.
Yeah. So I say you're going to have to be. I think the portal. I think that's the way that we're headed now. Unfortunately, unless they change the rules, that's the way that we're headed. Sure, you can only hop in the portal now once, but we got a bunch of young talent. And if you keep attacking, bringing in young talent, we're only going to continue to be younger, except for every 2 to 3 seasons. It's going to take us a good.
And that's if we can keep the young talent.
That's if we can keep them. The retention. It's going to take us a good. Hold on. Let me finish out real quick, and then I'll come to you, Carter. It's going to take us a good 5 to 6 seasons of stacking up this Cali talent in order to get to the position where you got an Ohio State where they got talent built on top of, stacked on top of talent. Where Alabama used to be talent stacked on top of talent. Georgia, talent stacked on top of talent. We weren't like that for the longest. Remember, we ignored Cali. We ignored Cali for the longest, and now it's starting to, we just got back to it, but, for the last 4 or 5 seasons, it's really starting to show. A lot of that talent is produced in other places, but because this is just our first recruiting class of really getting back to focusing on putting that gate up, it might take another 4 or 5 years to continue to, to build up that roster along with retention in order to see the dividends from, investment into that. Yeah.
I don't think it's going to take 4 or 5 years, because if you are who we think you are coming out of high school, by your sophomore year, you're going to be ready to contribute. And if you are who we think you are coming out of high school, some of y'all going to even play as freshmen. Mm-hmm. So I could see USC, if everything go right, I could see them winning the championship in 2027. I
hope you're right, Carter.
No, because listen, look, let me break it down to y'all.
No, I hope you're right. I ain't disagreeing with you. I hope you're right.
Yeah, look. Jonas, he'll be starting. It'll be his first year, but it'll be his second year in the system.
Yeah.
It'll be Tanut, third year as a junior. He gonna be at his peak. He gonna be doing Makai Lemon, Jacoby Lane things.
Kane Dixon, Wyatt, Booby Feaster.
They gonna be in their second year, ready to contribute.
Carter be in his third. Thanos will be in his third. Waffle will be in his second.
Exactly.
So, be in his second.
What about the offensive line, though? What about the offensive line?
But that's what I'm saying. If they hit BJ, so if Kenye Pepe, who we think he is, a 5-star, we all love Cool J. I seen Vlad manhandling defensive linemen with one arm at the All-American practice. You know when they make the O lineman go one-on-one with the D lineman? Mm-hmm. This dude,
I know what you're talking about.
This dude blocked the dude.
Hold on, Carter, fast. I'm gonna let you go. I just want Trojan Fight. If you can put in the chat, they have to start spending in portal. Look at the playoff team. Majority were heavy in portal. So Trojan Fight.
Wow.
So let me know. Wait. So Trojan Fight. Let me know in the comment, because
Trojan Fight. Come on, Trojan Fight. Come on.
Do you want us to be heavy? Do you want us to be heavy in the in high school or in the portal? You can't do both. So Trojan Fight, just let us know. I'm just curious to your thoughts on that.
Hey, put up his comment about Georgia, because Georgia took 30 players this year too. In the class before that, they took a gang. They had a gang of 5-stars. Remember, they took Isaiah Gibson and Justice Terry back from us. So Georgia
not heavy in the portal. Georgia don't go heavy in the portal like that though.
No, we talking about. I guess Trojan Fight is talking about recruiting 30+ players And he like
No, he
Georgia
said
did
we
the
have to
same
start
thing.
spending money in the portal. Oh, I might have missed this other thing.
Yeah.
I'm looking
He
for it
made a
now. I'm looking
comment
for it
about
now. I'm looking for it now.
About
Go
Georgia.
ahead, Carter.
They signed 30 players this year too.
They have to
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Look,
I think here. I think this is right here. There it is. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Carter.
All right. Now y'all read that. What y'all think about that?
Trojan Fight said, I'd be interested to see how Georgia does. They took nearly as many kids as USC. They took 30, I believe. One to small class in
if they'll take
2027.
a small class in 27.
Well, they increased the roster size from 85 to 105, right?
That's
Right.
another thing we got to factor in.
So, I guess it really depends on, what type of revenue sharing that program has and what type of NIL that program has. If they have a big enough bag, you can bring in a bunch of players like that. But, you still, I think recruiting is going to be important. But if we talk about winning right now, these freshman classes that we're bringing in, we may have to wait a couple seasons. Sure. Like I said before at the beginning of live, you're going to have a couple that hit. When you talk about a Thanos, when you talk about a Flora Bukar, when you talk about a Tanook, we're predicting that you're going to have a Booby Feaster that hit what's the kid, Jamion Winfield or Luke Wayful. We're projecting that they're going to hit, but we never know until they get into what? Until they get into the ring and start mixing it up with these other schools. When we talk about the likes of Ohio State, we got on the roster got on the schedule next year. We got Penn State we got to travel to next season. We got Indiana on the schedule, and you know how they get down. So we're putting up. We're saying that these 3 or 4 kids that's fresh out of high school going to be ready to compete with these 24, 25-year-old players that Indiana going to have. I don't see
this the thing, though. This the thing I think y'all underestimating.
Okay, go ahead.
A lot of Indiana transfers came from James Madison. So them transfers came with continuity, knowledge of the system, and they came with the culture of Signetti's system. Every team can't do that. If you build your team full of mercenaries, I don't feel like the culture gonna be there. You're gonna have a team full of bag chasers. That's why I will never focus on the portal, because half them dudes just want a bag and the other half wasn't patient enough to sit. No, you build a culture through the high school recruiting. You the first college coach, and you got them as babies, and you instilling your program tradition. We can't be mercenaries and just be like, we want to go hard in the portal. Your team is not going to have an identity. You're going to have a team full of Bear Alexanders and Cam Colemans. No.
So what we're saying is, we're not saying build the team through the portal. But what we're saying is, if you're spending so much of the NIL and all the money in high school, the guys that's in the portal that you could bring in, those top guys, you're not able to do that because the funds are gone.
And I'm saying this, look, you only finna worry about the portal of these things. If you're not developing, hold on, look, if you don't believe in your development and your ability to retain players, right? So it sounds like y'all saying it's a guaranteed half these dudes gonna transfer and another half ain't gonna turn out. But you can't think like that as a program. You got to think, first of all, you got to believe in every player that you recruit. That's 1. 2, you got to believe you could develop them. 3, you got to believe you can retain them, right? If you already put into the portal and say, I can't sign this many kids, or I got to save this money for the portal, that's you saying, I don't believe that we going to develop these players, and I don't believe we going to retain these players, because these players are on your team, so obviously you believe in them and you want to keep them. So you can't.
This is what I'm saying, though. This is what I'm saying. What the portal do is, the portal is the plug holes you got with experienced productive players, right? So if you're building, if we're the path that we're on, right, it's gonna be a young team, right? If you look at the teams that's been in the playoffs this year, right, and that's been successful, what did they do? They spent money in the portal to go get those different makers that has experienced production to come in and play, and they all have been successful with that, right? So when you plug, because experience does matter, right? When you have 6-year, 5-year, 4-year guys that's been in college on a college weight program, it's easier to gain weight and stuff as you get older. They're gonna be bigger, stronger, faster, right? You know what I'm saying? And so you throwing them up against freshmen and sophomores straight out of high school who body is still developing. You know, this is the second year in a row. I love both kids, But just think about it. We got people who's supposed to be seniors in high school. You know what I'm saying? And it's gonna take a little longer for their body to develop because they're a year early in their strength. So there has to be. My thing is not saying don't recruit high school, don't build a wall in California. My thing is it has to be a balance that we have to recruit high school, right? To me, it's more of not a major minor thing, right? But out of the two options, that's what it is. My thing is I would like it, I would say if I can put a percentage on it, 75% high school, 25% portal as far as spending money.
And I'm with that. I would totally agree with that. I'm not going against what y'all saying. I'm just saying I just don't feel like your mindset should already be that before it's already that. Like you examine your roster after each season. So I'm saying we shouldn't look at the 27 recruit campaign already before we play the 26 season and be like, you know what? We only taking 15 high school kids because we gonna need money for the portal. I'm saying we deal with the portal.
The reason I say that, Carter, the reason I say that is because I'm looking at the roster. The 26 class is going to be 2 freshmen. I'm saying after this season, we're going to have a really young team, a really young team, and we're going to need some experience on there, some experienced production players.
And you talking about for 27?
Yeah, think about how young we're going to be.
Yeah, we're going to be real young.
We're gonna be young, but look, 27 by then. Look, Thanos gonna be a junior, Bucar gonna be a junior. Stevens and Walker, if they still there, they will be seniors. Who else? Came in. Alex Graham will be a junior. Marcellus, if he's still there, he'll be a senior.
Offensively, will be young as I don't know what.
Elijah Page will be gone by 27, right? He'll be gone.
Yeah, he'll be gone.
What's the name will be gone? The center will be gone. Switch.
Yeah, so I'm more worried about the offense. I feel you like
the offense will be real young. We'll be young at quarterback. We'll be young at running back.
With a young quarterback. Listen, if this is you guys' first time being here on the channel, we appreciate you being here, joining live with us. We only ask one favor. You guys go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notification for anytime we go live or anytime we drop content, and hit the like button. We're here discussing the current state of the USC roster. Is this program, of course, recruiting as many as high school players that they're recruiting instead of focusing on the portal. Is USC at least 2 seasons away from reaching the playoffs, not from playing for a championship, but from reaching the playoffs? And again, we got Carter from Carter Sports TV on here. We appreciate him being here. We appreciate all of you guys being here. But again, 2027, we're still looking at a young team, like Chris was saying, and Carter was discussing a few seconds ago. We're still looking at a young team, but what's most important is we're probably looking at a young quarterback too. I think with Maava coming back this season really helped us out, to be honest. We talk about his leadership, being able to face that schedule that we're facing up next year. I don't think that they've added a 12th game yet. Carter, have you heard anything about a 12th game yet, and who they're potentially looking at playing against?
What, to replace Notre Dame?
Yeah, to replace Notre Dame.
I was hearing like an old Pac-12 type school, like a Stanford or Cal, or if not that, like
I don't. Hey, Kyle ain't gonna be as easy as everybody think. If it's Kyle, that ain't a walk in the park.
I'm saying I think USC will want it to be a West Coast team, and I think they want to continue some rivalries with the old Pac-12 school, and the UC Union like the roll with each other. So USC might want to give Cal or Stanford some games to help them out in exposure because they still in bed with each other to a certain extent. Like the universities of California get money from the Big Ten, like even the teams that ain't even in the conference. Like when I think when Oregon and Washington went, when USC and UCLA went, the UC administration like, okay, like these are California schools, so we all gonna need some of this. So correct me if I'm wrong. I know Chris, you be more versed in some stuff like this, but I believe Cal and Stanford get some money out of the Big Ten because of the UC system.
I don't know about. I
think it was because of UCLA. They had to split some money with Cal.
Yeah,
for
yeah, okay,
leaving.
BG,
I
you know what I'm
remember
talking
reading
about.
something like that. They had
They're
to
state school,
yeah,
and we private.
they're state funded
Yeah.
school. So because they had to kick down at least $10 million per season to Cal for the first maybe 2 or 3 seasons that they were in the Big 12. Of course, it doesn't
Yeah.
apply to SC because they're a private institution. So yeah, they are impacted by it. But you talk about adding that 12th game. I wouldn't put yourself at a disadvantage by adding like Chris was saying. Cal, I think they're gonna have a tough-minded team. They got a good quarterback coming back, so we'll definitely get in that.
So
Another show.
So Stanford didn't get any money, and it wasn't from the Big Ten, but UCLA had to
Yeah,
pay Cal.
it was Cal. It was Cal that got the money.
Because ain't Stanford a private school though too?
Yeah. Stanford is private. That's why they didn't get it. It was Cal.
Yeah, the private schools ain't in the UC system. So yeah.
I'm trying to read it if you let me.
My bad, dang.
I'm both of y'all trying. No, I said Cal and Stanford did not get money from the Big Ten when USC and UCLA. Instead, UCLA was required to pay Cal an exit fee around $10 million annually to help offset UCLA's increased costs, and Cal lost the Pac-12 revenue from UCLA joining the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like BJ said, Cal got some money.
Cal got some money from it. But Guns is saying that it's rumored to be Stanford, who they're going to play, which I think.
Yeah, I heard that.
Opponent, of course, placement on the schedule is going to be key as well. Where we place that game at, you gotta remember going into that Big Ten.
I would prefer Stanford over Cal.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is what we're going to play them at. As far as like what we're going to place them on the schedule. USC has a gauntlet next season. I'm just going to be honest about it. When you talk about in Oregon, we talk about Indiana, you talk about Penn State that's on the road. Who else we got on that schedule next season?
Man, we got our season gonna come down to the same thing it came down to this year. We have 4 games, and we said we at least need to go 2-2. Next year we have 4 games. Everybody else we should beat. We have 4 games where we need to at least go 2-2 to finish 10-2. Mm-hmm. That's Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana, and Penn State.
Let me ask y'all a question. Do y'all think we done in the portal?
I believe so.
I think they might take 1 or 2 more players.
That safety from Michigan had USC that just went the safety from Michigan. He had on his thing that USC was, an option. So, I mean, we only got 6 days left.
Mm-hmm. Nah, it ain't. No. I think the players only got 6 days to enter the portal.
Yeah, to enter. Yeah.
But we got more than 6 days to sign. It gonna go all
right. They just have to be entered by the 6 days.
Yeah, most definitely.
I mean, I say about 6 days, 6 days.
And if they want to take it to court, they can enter whenever they want to.
or they could do like Miami. They could do like like Miami.
That's what I'm talking about.
Hey, so let me ask you this, because we kind of talk about recruiting all that for 27. And this is not nothing against the kid because he left. I wish him the best. I hope he's not a Malachi Nelson story, right? With who's son Longstreet. But it's for both of y'all. Y'all can answer in any order. B look like you froze up. Are you back? But just from watching film, seeing we haven't seen Williams on the college level, but his high school tape, and all that. We've seen Longstreet high school tape. We didn't really see him throw. He was more of a, when he did play, one read, take off, run. But out of the two, who do you think is the better pure passer?
Go ahead, Carter.
Out of Longstreet and Williams?
Mm-hmm.
Come on now. Well, I can't laugh because everybody ain't up on high school recruiting, but coming out of high school, Jonas Williams is miles ahead of Hushawn Longstreet when it comes to quarterbacking. Arm strength, Hushawn got a bigger arm, but as far as quarterbacking, he miles ahead.
Man, but and another thing that I agree as far as Williams is it's his accuracy, it's his ability. Longstreet's faster, but Williams still can run. And when Jonas is running, he's running the pass, and he can do all type of off-platform things. He really like watching him. He really reminds you like of a David Taylor.
Yeah.
No exaggeration. Exaggeration.
And let me give my perspective on it. When you talk about Longstreet, this may or may not be true. Longstreet may have recognized that.
Mhm.
And didn't want to risk
Mm.
it, and didn't want to risk it going into next season. You understand what I'm
And
saying?
then his stock go
Because you
down.
got to remember, you got to remember what I said when there was a whole possibility of Longstreet hitting the portal, and we did a live, and I says, well, how many more throws have Longstreet made at the college level more than Jonas? He's only
Maybe
passed at
5.
the college level maybe 5 or 6 times. So is he really that much more experienced? If Jonas comes in the springtime and hops in that playbook, develop a chemistry with those receivers. When you talk about the likes of a Booby Feaster, you talk about the likes of a K Dixon Wire, we talk about the likes of even a Tanook, because Tanook will still be there. He's developing a chemistry. So the only thing he has on him is a year of weights and maybe a little bit more mobility, because Longstreet does have some wheels. So maybe Longstreet was looking at it from this perspective. Hold on, this kid looks, similar to, what Lincoln Riley had. So will I be doing myself a disservice by not leaving? Because it's a potential. I might not even start in 2027. It might be this kid. Did he
Yeah,
feel like
BG.
it exists that? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's a
BG.
possibility.
I don't know when I had not to cut you off, but when
Yeah.
I did the live about Longstreet potential, when it's just a rumor, that's the first thing I said. I said Longstreet probably looking at it like, why I'm gonna sit another year just to battle it out for 27. I was
Right.
expecting to be starting maybe my second year. See, look, Longstreet probably expected
Dang, the Rams
my
just got a
Alva the
punt one.
ball this year, right? Longstreet probably expected my Alva the ball so good this year that he would go into the
He
draft
will leave. Right.
and he'll be starting his second year.
Right.
But it's like, damn, I'm finna be on the bench my second year, and then the third year, it still ain't even no guarantee. I'm finna have to compete with Jonas.
So
And
what you're
look,
saying is,
BJ,
Carter, Maava threw was the monkey wrench
yep,
in
my Alva
Longstreet
is the
plan.
reason why Longstreet gone. Yep, threw a wrench in the
Not
plan.
because he don't think that Maava is better than him. He think that Maava just extended the possibility of him not starting the following season.
Yeah, he probably was
Exactly.
under pressure that Marvin was going to be gone after this year, and he'll be starting next year. He want to
And
play.
then look, and this is why I think took it over the top. I think he probably would have been even willing to sit another year, but when he look at another year, he looking at the quarterback behind him.
That's
And
Right.
like
coming
that
in.
dude good too. And
Yeah.
Right.
we and he gonna have a year under the system under his belt too. To your point, B Jinx. And
Right.
look, B Jinx, you made me realize this. Jonas gonna have a better chemistry with our receiver because they in the same class. They
Right.
got that camaraderie.
They've
He
been
probably
playing at
like
these
all the
camps.
new receivers is Jonas boys.
So
Right.
you got to remember, Carter, at the Elite 11 camp where Jonas was balling out and all that. Guess who the receivers was? It was the Kane Dixon White, the Booby Feasters and all that. Where they said
Exactly.
that Williams had the most impressive performance and all that by far.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Longstreet attempted 15 passes this year. He completed 13 for 103, so averaging at 7.9 yards of
Yeah.
completion.
That's not a big sample size. 15 passes to me.
Yeah,
Hey,
13
look,
for
y'all.
Pretty much
The
on the
15.
more I
same
think
level.
about it, I think Longstreet make the right decision.
Yeah.
Carter
He made the
crazy.
right decision.
Carter crazy.
I mean, he's not he's joking, but there's some
Carter
truth.
crazy, man.
Yeah, Carter's joking, but there's some truth in what
No,
he's
it's
joking
truth to that.
about. It's truth
Yeah,
in it. When
it's
you
truth in
weigh
that.
what could happen in 2027, this kid Jonas Williams, like he said, he's able to make those throws on the run, those off platform throws. You're looking at another, in my opinion, this is just my perspective. You're looking at another Caleb Williams. So
Yeah, and
if I'm Longstreet, am I going to take that risk to come back to battle a kid that had won, that resembles a Heisman Trophy winner? No,
exactly.
I'm not
So
gonna take that risk. I'm going to go ahead and leave.
yeah, and look and think about it. He could also be thinking like, damn, this dude look just like Caleb. So I know Lincoln Riley gonna have flashbacks. He gonna
Favor.
love that. Like,
He gonna favor the kid is what's going to happen, Carter. What you talk
yeah,
about
you
is
feel me?
favor. Yeah, he's going to favor that kid. So yeah, I believe Jonas did make the right decision when you talk
You
about
mean
from a fan
Longstreet? You mean
perspective.
Longstreet, not
Yeah,
Jonas?
I'm sorry, Longstreet. But when you talk about from development, you can't get better development than up under Lincoln Riley. You can't get much more development. That when you talk about the results, he got a quarterback right now that played for USC that's playing in the game against the Green Bay Packers. After this game right here, developed by Lincoln Riley. So he did what's best in his best interest. But for me, I stay and I study and I battle it out. But again, that's him and his camp. But again, we appreciate everybody that joined the live here.
Jonas didn't play top talent in high school though. I know we understand California football, right? That conference and all that is good. They got a lot of powerhouses, but there's still other good conferences and things in other states, right? Like
the kid played in Chicago. It's talent out there.
That's what I'm saying. It's not like he played at like some small school where it's like Division I or something where people only got 200, 200 seniors and stuff like that.
Hey, look, he didn't play in the Arch Manning High School type league.
Right, that's what I'm trying to say.
You know what I'm saying? And then against the best competition, he shined. So that's why they had these kids at camps. Okay, we don't know how probably great your high school league is, so let us put you up against the best. Right. And when he went, just like Chris said, he won MVP after MVP on these 11-on-11s and 7-on-7s. He was always being named the best quarterback. Every event he went to, they was like, that's the best quarterback.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? It don't matter that he didn't play in the Trinity League. He's a baller.
Right on that, it says, I trust SoCal high school quarterbacks a lot more. Well, Caleb was from,
they don't watch film.
From Maryland?
They ain't watch film.
What was Caleb from? Maryland?
No, he's from Illinois. He's from Chicago.
No, I'm talking about Caleb. What was Caleb from?
Williams.
DC. Caleb from DC.
Caleb was from DC. He wasn't no SoCal quarterback.
Exactly.
So it is what it is. But again, we want to thank everybody that showed up for the live today.
Man, the Rams about to lose, bro.
Yeah, I see that. We it looked
like
they're moving down the field. We want to thank our guest, Carter. Carter, you want to shout your channel out again real quick?
Trojan Gang or Don't Bang. Go get them subs up over there. And Carter Sports.
Yeah, Carter Sports TV.
Sports and TV.
Also want to thank our other weekly guest, resident Leon, for joining the live. We're going to come back next week. What day we going next week, Chris? Was it Thursday?
Yeah, it's going to do Thursday, man. Y'all make sure y'all tune in. We're going to be doing our first annual award show. So we'll be giving out awards for the 2026 season. USC award.
Yeah,
you get her out of jail.
You said what?
I think he was talking to somebody else.
I thought he said you going to jail. I was like, what?
Yeah. So again, thank everybody that showed up for the live today. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If this is your first time joining us. Hit the like button and definitely hit that bell for notification. Outside of that, whenever we hear something about a potential DC or whether or not they hire DC, it may be before the portal closes, it might be after the playoffs. We don't know. But whenever they mention something about a DC, we'll be going live. Outside of that, hey Chris, you got anything else you wanna?
Man, make sure y'all hit that like. Make sure y'all hit that like, subscribe. Appreciate everybody commenting, all the call-ins. Make sure you be looking out. We'll definitely drop a flyer. Right now we're banking on Thursday, but it might be Saturday, but most likely Thursday. But we'll get a flyer out. Make sure you hop in because we definitely want you guys to call in and comment as we go through because we're gonna be giving out awards, 2020-25 season awards. So you'll have your offensive MVP for the season, defense, coach, USC coach of the year, whoever was the coach of the year, your comeback player of the year, most improved, freshman of the year, player of the year, and so many other categories, man. And so we'll be doing our first annual award show. So make sure y'all join us for that.
Outside of that, appreciate you joining live. And as always, fight on.
Fight on.